Hi folks, Dan and Bob here, back in Vembre Park for episode 9. And this is Dilophosaurus, as promised in the last video. I've got a speed build for you today, as well as some animal cinematics, which we'll get to deeper in this video. So let's dive in and start with an overview of what I had laid out ahead of time, marking out the terrain so that there was sufficient for the animals, doing some groundwork, and setting up some boundary fence and rocks. And this is a care building that I had built ahead of time, and as you can see, I needed to plop it on where I had put some little kiosks, so they had to be moved around and out of the way of the building that I just dropped down there. The kiosks are really important now because our guests have needs and they're pretty fussy about some of it. I expect that to be changing as time goes along, and we will just see how well that all works out as to how much I've got. To be honest, it feels like I've got a ton of stuff in this park and the guests are still not satisfied. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so playing with the rocks to get a color that matches the desert rocks in the terrain paintbrush, and now changing out some of the fences for some of the new fences from the arid terrain update, see-through fences this time. So plenty of spots where guests can look into the habitat, and so they should have pretty good visibility of these animals. So there's the Dilo. I chose this particular one with the ragged crest and the little sort of iguana spine, spiny bits along its back for this one, a very deserty looking skin. All the Dilophosaurus skins are quite nice, each in their own way. Kind of like the Dilophosaurus, it's really hard to choose. Having done that, I'm working with that rough that I put in of the groundwork and tweaking it a little bit, and now putting in aquatic plants. These are the horsetails, and I decided I wanted to make them somewhat more giant-y horsetails. And realized in the course of this process that I probably should have started from the get-go and just made some of my stuff bigger and done a little more hand placement rather than using the brush to lay everything out. In part because, I don't know if you noticed, but when I enlarged it to make them taller, it also changed their XY axis coverage, and that wasn't something I cared for. So I wanted the very deserty feel to this environment, so I plopped down enough plants to satisfy the animals, or nearly so. And as the brush usually does, it lays things on top of other things, and not always in a good way. So I had to undo some of that with single placements, and also some of that is for aesthetics. And then on to placing some rocks, because how good is a desert that doesn't have rocks sticking out of the substrate, right? It's just all part of the feel. And the new update also seems to have fixed a lot of the problems we were having with the information screens. And using my favorite prefab stand for the things, it just has that parky feel and seems to work in a lot of different environments. So that's the one I'm going with in this park as my base form. You saw I was trying to get the food tray on the rocks there, and it just was not cooperating with me, so I moved it off and then flattened some ground around it. You need to have some room around there, or the animals look kind of silly trying to get in there, particularly the bigger ones. So, that was the build, guys. It's not terribly exotic. It's very deserty feel, but still a lot of plants. So these animals look quite at home in it as they cruise around and check it out, and probably looking for snacks, even though they have that big tray of food out there. Some of their new interactions that don't always work that well on a slope, but are usually pretty cool. So, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to insult you. And away he goes. I did get a couple of neat sequences with the random actions of the animals today when I was filming this, and that's always fun when that happens. So this guy is having the usual problem of negotiating over the taller rocks. They kind of do a little bit of stutter stepping, and he's going to check out the building, and he'll also, by doing that, prove to you that yes, indeed, they can enter the building and do their thing. So maybe someday they will come to the hay bales and take naps. And he looks like he went over to investigate that rock that's coming through the wall, which I changed after this video, so it no longer comes through the wall. And having done it, out he comes, and back to wandering around the habitat. I don't think they ballyhooed much, but I think they must have tweaked the visuals in this this latest update. Everything just seems more intense without being over the top. I really like it. This is some of the best looking PK has been, in my opinion. All the desert plants minus the horsetails, which are down near the water areas. And we're going to do a little short sprint. And sniff the air. They were doing some other cool stuff. One of them just called and was about to call. Yeah, there he go. Yeah, he just called. And it's like he got the attention of that first one we were looking at, and off it goes to investigate what he was pointing out. Anyway, new animal behaviors in this iteration. I'm not sure we're seeing much of them on these guys. So we have one taking time to have some lunch. We'll get in a little closer. One of the reasons you're seeing a lot of wide shots is these guys move pretty quickly. And while I'm trying to see if there's something I can get a good shot of, they're gone. So a lot of wide shots for them. And having eaten, and sit down, the other one's going to come and have some food. This is the female, I believe. The darker colors is part of it. That little chin rub's one of the new animations. So she's going to have some food with the usual sticking her head in it. The male's going to get up. Apparently his attention was caught by something. She's going to turn around, and with a little bit of body through, she started to pay attention to where he was going, and there was a lot more body contact. But now the dilos are getting tired, and so is Dino Bob. It's time to sign off for this video. You all take care of each other, be kind, and drop some likes and comments. I'd love to hear from you what you think of how I'm doing. Bye now.